Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
I've always wondered when my friend is allergic to cold, that every time he gets exposed to cold, he sneezes, he gets other funny things, and it's not normal to other people. It only happens to him. Yeah, it's not a normal situation. So I've always wondered why. Yeah.
When something enters the body, it triggers the body to make something that will protect itself from the cause of that trigger. For example, if you have something going into your body, maybe like dust, it goes into the body as a trigger. The body reacts to that trigger to protect itself by producing a defensive mechanism against that trigger. So what it does, if it defends itself, next time you get the same trigger coming into your body, the antibody that was produced earlier by the first affliction starts to interact, and then you start getting the allergy. When you start sneezing, actually that is the body trying to tell you there is something not normal with your body. And that reflex of sneezing actually is the body trying to protect itself against that trigger issue. So it starts to irritate the nasal cavity and the rest of the upper respiratory tract, and then you start sneezing. Actually, when you start sneezing, actually is the first indication that something has entered into the body that is not required, and the body is trying to protect itself through sneezing. People react differently to allergy. There are some people who are resistant to allergy. They don't get it. Whether they get those triggers coming to their body, they don't even react. But there are some people whose body is made to react to certain allergens, but not all of them. So it depends on the individual.
I tend to wonder when someone has yeast infection or any other infection of those private areas, the discharge that comes out, I tend to wonder where does it come from and how come it's the way it is. Like sometimes one can have a discharge like thick, stickish stuff. So I tend to wonder how come and where does it come from.
Yeast infections, normally it's a disease that afflicts women more than men. In fact, if it affects men, they don't even complain. But manifestations of the disease normally appear in women more than in men. And yeast cells, actually medically it's called candidiasis. And I know so many women, they are aware of that name. And it is caused by a bacteria called Candida albicans. Candida albicans thrives very well in the warm areas of the body, and particularly in women, in the vaginal cavity. The way they get it actually has brought so many issues, especially in the family setup, whereby you find the man blames the woman that you have got this disease. You maybe got it from somebody else, maybe you got it from being unfaithful to somebody else. But the candidiasis, part of it is spread through sex, part of it is not spread through sex. Now, if I talk about the spread of that yeast cells, as far as sexual relationship is concerned, it starts by, it is normally spread through sex. When a man sleeps with a woman, and because he had a relationship with another lady with the same disease, it is transferred to the lady. That is now we consider it as an STD, but that STD we normally call it candidiasis. Sometimes a woman can go and have an act outside and gets the disease. It is normally transferred easily to the man through sex. If the issue of sex is not there, then it can be spread by other ways. And the commonest is maybe sharing things with somebody who is infected. For example, if a lady who has got that disease shares certain things with another lady who doesn't have that disease, she can easily spread that disease to somebody else. For example, like towels, sharing underpants, sharing other things that get into contact with the vagina. The other thing that normally causes yeast infection is when a patient goes to the hospital and is given antibiotics, which basically are very strong. They are drugs which are broad spectrum, and in their broad spectrum quality, they reduce the body's immunity to protect itself, and it gives the body a chance to develop other problems like candidiasis. And there are sometimes you can even find a virgin lady who has not even gone into any sexual act with anybody, and they still get candidiasis simply by being given strong antibiotics or sharing things which have been used by somebody else. That's how you get it.
What causes arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and uterine fibroids in women? And apparently it's supposed to interfere with their childbearing functions. So at what point or at what age is a woman afflicted by either rheumatoid arthritis or uterine fibroids unable to completely give birth, even if assisted by medical science?
Fibroids are swellings, or rather swellings which are situated in the walls of the uterus. It can be any part of the uterus, but if they are in the uterus, we normally call them fibroids. And fibroids, most of the time, we don't consider them as cancerous. We normally call them benign. They just grow, they are just confined in the walls of the uterus, and they don't cause any problem. Fibroids may or may not cause the woman to get kids or not have kids. It will depend on the situation or on the locality of the fibroids. If, for example, the fibroids are situated near the exit of the fallopian tubes, because normally ovums are normally produced by the ovum. They are transferred through the fallopian tube and they are deposited in the uterus. If there is any obstruction of that system by the fibroids, chances of getting a child is minimized. But sometimes even patients with fibroids, they still get children because the fibroid itself has not interfered with the system, that passage of the ovum from the fallopian tube all the way to the fibrous, to the cavity. So in that situation, women still get pregnant, even with fibroids in them, and they still carry the pregnancy until term, and they give birth in a normal way. What normally happens is that if they conceive with a fibroid within their uterus, as the uterus continues to enlarge, the fibroid continues to be stretched and it continues reducing in size. So basically it doesn't affect. But if the fibroid is somewhere near the exit or somewhere anywhere between the exit of the fallopian tube and the entrance of the fallopian tube, that is between the uterus and the fallopian, the uterus, then the ovum. If there is any obstruction anywhere there, the patient might not be able to conceive.
Audio Jungle.